Everybody, guys, welcome back to Swahili Nation, Swahili to the world. Right? I took a little bit of time today to come up here because it's always a struggle. For some reason, when it's a time to go live, like everything it was settled, everything was ready to do this, but then during that time, I just kind of had technical difficulties. All the time it happens like that at the very last moment. Um, But thank God I'm here right now, guys, to have this conversation, to have these discussions with you all. And I hope today it's going to be a beautiful day and productive day to talk about things, different things that we're going to be talking about here today. Well, guys, if you're joining right now, please let me know in the comment section where are you watching from. And I'm trying my best, but I'm a little bit sick. I've been sick since yesterday and today. Yeah, so I am trying to catch up. Today I pretty much spent time home. I didn't go anywhere, but I did reactions. So that's pretty impressive because there's been a while doing reactions and my body is a little bit weak and I'm kind of sick. Um, but I'm grateful that I can still do this, come here and do this. Deno Moja, man, it's been a long time. It's good to see you, brother. Have a brother here, Deno Moja. I know Deno Moja, you're watching from the UK, and we have Smart in America, someone who is always here to support us, support what we do. Appreciate Deno Moja. Yeah, I guess, I was thinking about this, and I only have one answer. I guess this is happening because of changing environment, right? Like when you move from one place to another place, and I've been away, from home for a long time, then this maybe is a way that I'm being welcomed. That welcome back, you know what I'm saying? Like, welcome back. No, this is your place. Welcome back. I feel like that's what is happening right now. Um, but hopefully it's not gonna take a long time. Today is the second day. Actually, 3 days ago, since 3 days ago I started to feel something. 3 days ago I felt like I was having a fever. I remember I was telling somebody, I was like, hey, I feel like I'm having a fever because my body's too hot and I feel hot everywhere. And then yesterday I woke up early in the morning and I found my throat is very dry. I know most of you are thinking about Corona. Forget about that thing, all right? Forget about that thing, all right? I say no to that COVID-19. So yesterday, when I was waking up, I felt my throat is very dry and I could barely, I was having a hard time to breathe as well. Um, and today is the third day, and I wake up and my saliva is just coming out every time. And mucus is coming out every time, right? Um, but thank God that that's all that I feel, and I feel a little bit weak, but I'm doing fine. Thank God for that. So I appreciate you guys for your prayer. Um, you know, appreciate for your prayer, and that's what I would say. You guys, you really have to pray for me, and also pray for your leaders, your country. You know what I'm saying? I think the light is too much, right? I don't like that I'm shining too much here. Okay, should be fine. All right. So you guys, if you can take some time, please remember to pray for your leaders. Remember to pray for us. Because what we do is not just it's not just good for this world, but also it's a battle in a spirit world as well. I believe that because I believe in God, and I love Jesus, and I believe that what we are doing is um, not just something that happens in this world, but also in a spirit world. You know what I'm saying? When you're preaching about love, peace, and unity, it's something that even enemy don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Enemy wants to divide. Enemy wants to destroy. Enemy wants to to bring chaos, but God wants to bring peace, love, and unity. That's the heart of God. So whenever you preach something like that and you stand with Him, then enemy is not happy for that. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing you guys can do is actually, pray for your people as well. That's beautiful. All right, guys, let me know where you were joining from. That was a little bit of introduction. Yeah, I would love to know where you guys are watching from, and then we jump right away into our topic of today to discuss about that. And just let you know that, guys, all these topics that are coming here, I'm not the only one that is coming with them. There's a lot of people behind the scene that they always bring up different ideas. For example, the topic of today, Professor Kuru suggested a couple of days ago that I think we should talk about this. And yesterday, when we were having live stream, Professor Ezra as well, he suggested, he said, I think we should talk about media. And so we're doing it right now. I'm gonna try to keep my energy a little bit low, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like that it's shining. I'm too shining here. What can I do? Maybe it's just my face, maybe it's not even about light. Sometimes you just shine. All right. Born to shine. Sometimes God is just giving you this shining face, you know what I'm saying? My face is glowing. Look at what is happening. What about now? Okay. Now it makes sense. It's because of this background. Lightning, it depends on the background and where you are at, so it might look a bit weird. Anyways, I'm not gonna figuring out that right now. Yeah, so it looks okay. All right, I appreciate that. Yeah, so guys, welcome back to One Africa Forum, and today is day 17th. And this is season 2 of One Africa Forum. We had season 1, this is season 2. I kind of feel like I'm looking up too much. Let me slow down a little bit. Slow down. Okay. This is day 17, and I appreciate for everybody who has started with us from the start up to here where we are. The battle still continues. We're still fighting, and we're still looking forward. We believe, we trust, and we hope for the better tomorrow and better future. And we want to be part of the change. We want to be part of the movement that is happening right now, One Africa. It's a movement. It's not a one person thing, but it's Africa thing. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at this One Africa Forum, you might be thinking about Mika, but it's not about that. It's not about me. It's not about few people who are coming here and join on the live stream. It's not about them, but it's about Africa. Hey Ezra, it's good to see you there. I'll be sharing link very soon, brother. It's good to see Ezra here, Dr. Ezra. Yesterday you spoke about media a little bit at the end as a suggestion, and Dr. Kuru, Professor Kuru also shared that before. So we're gonna talk about it tomorrow. So it's a movement, guys, and if here in Africa, what I've realized is, specifically here in Tanzania, like if you're taking a public transportation, sometimes when the car stops, right, for people to get in, but sometimes cars start moving and then people they're jumping on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like as it moves. Why I'm saying this? It's kind of like right now we are on a journey. The journey and the bus is One Africa Forum. The plan is One Africa Forum. You cannot afford to be left behind. You need to jump in. Man, you need to jump in. You need to be involved. You need to participate. You need to jump in because the movement, it's going forward. It's going forward, man. I still remember the first time when I started episode 1, season 1, right? We had like 5 people, sometimes 2 people. Sometimes I kind of like sometimes sometimes like you can be disappointed because of the numbers. Sometimes I'm human being, right? So sometimes you're doing live, live stream of One Africa Forum. You have only one person in the live stream. Man, there was a time I wanted to give up. And I was like, what the heck am I doing? Why should I do this? One Africa Forum? Why should I do this? Why should I care? about it. You know, you can ask yourself even that, why should I care about this? You know, but then we have to care, and we don't care because of the numbers. I don't care because of the numbers. You imagine like how many subscribers we have here in Swahili Nation, and imagine how many people coming on the live stream. It doesn't make sense. It's not even 1% of the subscribers, right? But can we stop because of that? No, because movement, it never start with 10 people. Movement is start, most of the time it start with one person, and then two, and then three, and then four, who are hungry and have the same desire to see, to bring about change into the society. And so today we are talking about, let me see this, the title again, because I cannot really see right here. We're talking about media, right? And entertainment. In this movement, how can it empowering Africa? And let me rephrase this question a little bit. I wanna go to YouTube and then to see the title, to read it and rephrase a little bit. All right. So guys, you cannot be left behind. The bus is leaving. The bus is leaving, man. The bus is leaving. You gotta jump in. There's no time to waste. You gotta jump in the car, jump in the bus, and let's go, man. Let's move forward. Let's run. You know what I'm saying? There's other people who will meet them along the way. The other people will bring them with us. There are other people will leave them behind. You know what I'm saying? But I hope I don't get to leave anyone behind. I hope I take everybody with me, and then we move forward towards one goal, one destination, and that is unity, one Africa, united Africa. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm determined to see. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. And when you're talking about media, a lot of people, they're thinking about the big perspective of media, right? Like you're thinking about CNN, you're thinking about BBC, you're thinking about Al Jazeera, you're thinking about all those big, ABC, all those big media platforms. But media, it can be like right here, Swahili Nation. This is the media. This is the media. Ezra, I just shared the link. This is the media. This is the media right here. And what we are doing right now is a change that is happening. It's us bringing change. It's us being united. First of all, we are united. We believe in one Africa. We believe in the common goal. And so we run towards that. And so we invite our friends. We share this message with other people who are not here today. We share this message with other people who do not get a chance to be here with us today. We take them with us. That's why, Ezra, he has always been emphasizing that, guys, please share. It's true. Share, man. If you have Facebook, share this link. Copy this link, share on Facebook, share on Instagram, share on WhatsApp story, share anywhere, man, and tell people that, you know what, we are moving. The bus is about to, it's about to, the bus has already started to move, but you can still jump in. You still have a chance to do that. Media, we have a huge part to play. All right, we have a huge part to play in changing the perspectives, changing the norms, changing the mindset of people, because it's a huge part of our lives. I believe everybody listen to the radio, everybody watch television, everybody watch YouTube every single day. It's something that it happens every single day. So media, we are in a position whereby people, they always look at us, people, they always listen to us, people, they always pay attention to us, whether it's in the TV or in the YouTube or in the radio or anywhere, we are there. And so I feel like it's a time to call upon the African medias, and even personal media, private, public, and everything and everyone, to preach about the same message, to talk about the same thing. Because the more people hear about it, the more people they actually, it gets into their system and start believing in it and start acting. That's why every single day will come and talk about the same thing. One Africa, one Africa. Let us be united. Let us be united. It's the same thing over and over and over again, because we want you guys to remember, us to remember every single day. Ezra, it's good to see you. Professor Ezra, welcome. One Africa Forum today again.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't be visible because I'm driving. Okay.
Oh my. I started to have another issues again. Let me see this. How can I resolve this? Give me a second, Ezra. Ezra, I'm having issues here again. Hello?
Hello, I
Hello,
can hear
Ezra.
you. I can hear.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we can't hear you now. We cannot hear you.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear me, Ezra?
Now it's better. Now we can hear you.
Okay. All right, brother, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
How are you? How is your day going?
So far, so good. So
I
far,
can
so
see you
good.
driving.
Yeah, I'm on my way back home. So yeah,
Ah,
yeah, but the power of media. You're talking about that, right? So
mm. Yes.
oh yeah, so I just wondering, should I go on and not? Yeah, but
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. You can go on.
yeah, if anybody has any doubts that the media has an agenda,
Mm.
they would say, oh, the media would normally say, oh, we are here to just inform. We are impartial. We don't have a part to play in any circumstances, in any conflict. They are seriously mistaken. You have to recognize, and I think there's ample evidence. We can come up with evidence after evidence to demonstrate that the media is not impartial. It is part and parcel of our uh, the way we think, the way we act, the decision that we make is influenced, impacted by the media. So media
Mm.
is not a neutral party in any circumstances. It could be. It doesn't have to be just media towards poorer countries. There's always a
Mm.
media trying to play a part in the affairs and and the state of conditions
Mm.
countries find themselves. I mean,
Mm.
the media played a key part in the election in the U.S. A major, I don't know if I would say a key part, I would say a major part, a critical part in
Mm.
determining the outcome of the election in the United States. The media play a part almost across the world, one form or another, to one extent or other, like a part that determines instances.
Mm.
Now that we know the media is partial, not impartial, but partial, that it is part and parcel of decision makings and perception setting, like setting people's perceptions and mindsets. How do we play a part that balances that out? Because if
Mm.
you don't own the media, then you are at the mercy of whoever owns the media.
Mm.
If the media is owned by policy, British domestic policy, British global policy, whatever policy that the British government want to implement, and if their media has a part in it, then the, our interaction and our dealing with the British, it's not just people to people, government to government. It's also media and vice versa, and across and cross sectionally too. So how do we kind of like forcefully present Africa's perspective and the little media that we have? Today we are on one media here, social. Swahili Nation, and uh, to me, like, how do we support Swahili Nation's efforts, and how do we promote what Swahili Nation is doing? And that is the question that we have to ask ourselves. How do we bring about broader set of audience, broader section of African society coming and joining this platform, and sharing our concerns, sharing our point of view, and helping rebalance the very imbalanced media that's out there.
Mm, mm, mm. You reminded me something. One of my friends, he, let me mute just this for a second. Yeah, one of my friend, I had an interview with him the other day, and I was asking him about what he's doing. And one of the things that he does is uh, he he does the what is that? What is that? I have to remember. What is that? Documentary. Yeah, he does documentary of animals. So he goes to the national parks and do some, animals. It's about the video I share with you guys on Swahili Nation. I think today at the end I will play this one African genius, and he was like talking to the plant, right? That guy, one of his passion is making documentaries, and so I was asking him like, why are you doing that in the interview? The interview is coming very soon, guys, so you cannot miss it. And he said, I want to tell the side A of the story, because when you look at all the documentaries out there, a lot of people they're talking about only side B. They're talking about evolution, but evolution is not everything. They're forgetting about creation. A lot of people they leave the part creation. But for me, I want to put out the story about evolution and creation at the same time, because most of the time they don't include creation. But for me, I believe in God, and I know that every single thing, even I believe in evolution, but also I do believe in God, that He created and He made all these things. But a lot of stories, when you look out there, they only talk about side B, and that is only evolution. So I'm here to give another side of the story. Side A, which is very important, creation. Then you have evolution, because creation begins and then you have evolution later on. So, pointing about that, it's so true what Ezra you're pointing out, that in the media right now, you'll find out that it's only side one. Basically, I can say it's side B, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not even the main side. It's side B of the story. And that's because I don't know. I don't like when I look, for example, when I look at the advertisements of different NGOs, right? Like look at UNICEF. There's no good advertisement about Africa that comes from there. You'll find poor kids who don't have shoes, and all the time you'll find like a little fly come, on their nose and stay right here, right on the mouth, right here. As if like they always wait for those for those like flies to come on their face and then to film it. That's what you'll find. And then you find really thin little kids, they're about to die. That kind of image you'll see. Sometimes I'll cross around the street in Korea and I'll be feeling shy, because you will see all those advertisements outside the street in a big television, those advertisements outside, and then I'll be hiding myself. I'll be like, it's like it's talking about me. I would feel the pain, right? That's the side of the media that is based on. I know this is just one side, but there's so many stuff that is based on that. And so us, as we are coming and trying to create something, trying to share the positive side of the story, the side B of the story. I think it's very important for all of us to be involved and to think about, what can I do to contribute to the side A, to the story of Africa. Because right now, guys, a lot of books about Africa, a lot of story about Africa has been written by other people outside there. I'm so glad that right now we have people who are rising up, writing the African story, making African content. I'm so glad because that's what we need. If you want someone else to write your story, that's why they're taking some part which are very important to us out and put parts that does not even exist because they are writing our stories, but we have to write our own story, right? So it's a wake up call, like right away. That guys, we gotta wake up, guys, we gotta do something about it right now.
Yeah. So, Mika, is my audio okay? Is my audio
Yes,
okay? Is it too
it's
noisy? It's not too noisy, right? Okay.
no,
Yeah.
that is
So,
it's too noise. It's too noise, Ezra.
uh,
It's too noise.
is it too noisy? Like the car is making too much noise?
Yeah, yeah. But I can hear you clearly. Maybe
Yeah.
because I
What
have
about now?
earphone.
What about now?
Okay, now it's
Okay. I mean, to
it's
me,
much better.
like, just to add a little bit of what you just said, you know,
Mm,
things are like, like everything in life, you know,
mm,
the media is about perspectives,
mm,
and perspectives is, as the term goes, it is based on is what, how you see things,
mm,
how you appreciate things, how you
mm,
recognize and articulate what you recognize in the language that you have, and that perspective is, not to be too philosophical, that perspective is is through the prism of your personal values, your personal experience, your point of views, and how you see the world is how you want us to see the world. And no matter how educated you could possibly be,
mm,
how well educated, how well informed you are of the world, you will never be informed sufficiently enough of all possible perspectives.
mm,
And why do I say perspective? Like, the perspective of the African perspective is the one that doesn't see much of the daylight.
mm,
All other all other major perspectives, the European perspective, the American perspective, the Chinese perspective, the Japanese perspective, is has a much higher propensity to spread and to
mm,
be heard across the spectrum of societies than the African perspectives. Because we Africans don't have the resources, or we haven't mobilized the resources sufficiently enough to be able to finance efforts and initiative to share our perspective on a global stage. Because of that, we are hostage to narrow perspectives that sometimes don't share our values, perspectives that sometimes that don't really reflect on who we are, and our identity and our way of life. So so we are at
mm,
the mercy of those people who see the world through their own prism, through their own
mm,
experience, through their own values. So uh, what I'm pushing here, what we are pushing here, is that, like, how do we give value to those perspectives that are least valued, or least, promoted, that are not promoted
yeah.
enough, that are not given the platform? How do we give platform to
Mm,
those perspectives? And that's what we're talking about. Like, you look at the crisis in Ethiopia, for example. You Most of the voices that you hear on the global stage are, foreigners. At best, they are foreigners. Okay.
mm,
At worst, they are
mm,
patronizing, very patronizing, Western mindsets. When I say
mm,
patronizing, is okay. Oh, these Africans can't seem to manage your own affairs. How do we go about managing it for them? How do we go about
Mm.
sharing their? Okay, just give me a second here. Anyways, you get my points, right? So I'm about to park, so that's why. So I'll hand it over to my friend Mika.
You got home already?
You're almost home, yeah.
All right, that's good. That's good. Yeah, man. Guys, let me see here. Comment a little bit. Yeah. A lot of YouTubers speak about the truth about Africa, and that's why we need we need support, or they need support, because I think in this generation we pay attention to things that don't really matter. Yes, we're talking about media, the role of media and entertainment in empowering Africa, but I think things that we pay attention to, they don't really matter. That's why before, in this second season of One Africa Forum, one of the things that I spoke about before is how Black people are being perceived all over the world, that they are good at entertaining jobs, right? When you talk about music, when you talk about comedy, when you talk about acting, like everything related to entertainment is for Black people, right? They are being given platform, and that's how we are being like seen or perceived. But you have engineers, you have doctors, you have very smart Black people that most of the time they don't really like give them platform, or welcome Ezra, it's good to see you. um, but
Yes.
it's a time for us to change this perspective and to support things that really matters. Of course, you can support entertainment, is very important, in our daily lives. Whatever, you cannot really control people to support this or that, but I think um, sometimes people, they can only take you serious if you take yourself serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't take yourself serious, it's hard to ask someone else to take you serious. Like, look at me, I have a value, but you don't see yourself as you have a value. Nobody's gonna see that in you. So I think we have a big role to play here, because when you're talking about media, you're talking about people. I'm not talking about camera. I'm not talking about TV station. Media is nothing without people. Media, it has influence on people, right? And so if you have people who knows what to do, if you have people who knows what to support, if you have people who are determined and they know exactly what they want, then you're gonna have a media that it will actually represent Africa well, around the globe atmosphere. Brother Ezra, it's good to see you. Welcome.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Mika. It's good to see Prof. Ezra on the other line
Hello.
as well.
It's
Can you
good
hear
to
me?
see you too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Can
Oh,
hear
okay.
you.
Yeah, I mean the role of media and entertainment in empowering Africa. Um,
Mm.
if you what you just said, some of the pointers that you mentioned earlier, about media not just being like the typical big news corporations and or media production houses that are out there making a lot of things, so it's
Mm.
far beyond that. And I think with the arrival of more technologies and stuff, it has helped to break sort of the, if you may, I know it might sound bad, the cabal of media, where uh, uh, um, like the Western media houses and news corporations had so much hold on everything, even though they still have a big chunk of world news and even entertainment in terms of the control, the influences, what needs to go on air, what needs to trend, and all that stuff. But with the arrival of technology, other platforms coming into what's this into the world, We've seen that even at first. I mean, remember when some of the platforms were starting up, like your Facebooks, your Twitters, many media were like the so the old traditional media was like, do we really need to have pages? But now look at all of them; they have pages on all those platforms, Facebook, you name them, you know. But at first there was that resistance, but they could
Succession,
not
yeah.
because there was like instant news that you can get. Like we can get breaking news on another platform beyond just your old traditional news, you know. And that has really sort of opened up for us as Africans now to also play a role, to have a voice. Even platforms like One Africa and Swahili Nation, these are the platforms that are also bringing a new narrative, and the narrative to say that Africans must do their stories, must narrate their stories, must tell the world their stories instead of other people coming to fund movies telling their stories, you know. And this gives us a big opportunity to be in platforms where we can now tell our stories, how we want things, how these stories are supposed to be told, instead of having a story that's being told by another production coming from America funding a movie in Africa to tell an African story.
Yeah.
So this gives us a platform for us to tell our stories, to discuss issues like this. I mean, such platforms where we discuss ideas and issues of that are affecting our continent. Normally, they will be in traditional media like radio and TV, but now everyone can access this thing if they can just connect to these platforms. They can have discussion and even be partakers of what's being discussed through the chats, through the other platforms, you know, that you are utilizing. So it gives us a big a voice now, that we should not just sit back. As much as, yes, there's still resistance, there's still the big boys, there's still the you know the ones that have a big footprint, who have the resources and the finances. But these are the platforms now that break protocol, you know. There's breaking protocol in terms of the old traditional media, where issues only are discussed only in like now. If there was a platform in the country where they will be discussing issues of the nation, probably in our nations we'll have to listen to a national broadcast and hear them talk. Oh, this is the issue. Oh, there's such a politician or such an expert is talking to a newsreader or something. But now those days are gone. It's no longer the case of we having to wait for such. If there's issues here on the ground that we can start now as a movement, as you're moving as One Africa, it is another narrative that is being channeled to the world, because this is a portal where anyone, whether they are in Afghanistan, whether they're in America, wherever, they can catch to this once they connect to these platforms. So I think in us empowering ourselves, these are the platforms where we need to utilize them, instead of just them these platforms being for entertainment only. We know that there's so much entertainment in such and other platforms, or other topics really don't get the shine or the space so much, you know. So once as we are using this platform currently, where we are putting another narrative that's not maybe in popular in Africa. If you look at currently, if you watch online, I'm sure you also watch other people's platforms. You watch what's happening. I mean, this platform, there's no match to this. Not that I'm being biased or anything, but such topics where Africans are discussing, especially in this day and age, most of them, it's just travel. It's a lot of entertainment in a way, if I may say so. Not that they are bad, they are also good. They're showing another narrative. So there's also another aspect that Africans are not just music, entertainment, or just travel only, but there's other issues, politics, there's the economics, there's the, you know, other things, that serious matters that we need to discuss, and they're getting a space, you know. So yeah, that's just that in opening.
That's really good, guys. I wanna throw down some comments here. The first one from Smart in Amharic. He said, Western speak by Western perspective. We have to speak by African perspective. That's African spirit. That is Jen, take us to the top. I believe he meant take us to the top. How true is this statement?
I can speak by Western. Yes, very true, very true.
Mm.
It boils down to that topic, what I just mentioned earlier about Africans now having the chance to also tell their stories. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for big budgets, because I think sometimes we want to match like for like, so that we're thinking,
Yeah.
if our production is not like the one I saw for a movie in America or a documentary in America, that means it's of low quality, it's of low standard. But that's not the case. That's where we
That's
need to
true.
start somewhere. They've also started somewhere, so we need to push. Whether, like, if you look at one of a good example of what the segment says, now turning it into an African speaking an African perspective, is if you look at African magic, if I may use that example, how when it started, at first they were doing, like, you can see, there was a lot of low quality stuff that you on Nollywood. You laugh at some of the movies, especially action movies. You laugh at them. You're like, oh, come on, guys, what is this?
It's a live action movie to Hollywood.
But look at this, Mika, how it has changed. It has become the third biggest, or even the second biggest in the world in terms of the movies that have been produced. There was so much noise being this, being that, but they stuck to their stories and they looked at their niche that they can portray. They saw that on the action side of movies, they are not there yet. They don't have the resource to do really like guns and what really like action type of movies. But they stuck to family oriented type of movies, and the movies that really relate to Africans, witchcraft, all those stuff. That's their narrative. And look at them. At first they were big, but now they are big, and other people living overseas, they watch their movies, we like, and even the quality. There's also different levels of quality that you can see that, wow, this is a good production. They put money into this. As you can see, it's in the middle, it's coming up. And this one you can see Netflix. But those guys are not stopping. They're not stopping putting content. They just keep on pushing. Even though people were laughing at them, say, oh, this. But look at them now. How much production they have, So these are the things that where we need as Africans need to speak in an African perspective, tell their stories in their own way, that they tell the story the way they know it, things that they can also relate. Africans can relate. It cannot be the case where you're watching John Wick. Some things you can't relate to that. Yes, it's a nice action movie, you're watching it, it's interesting, but there's movies that you know that you can relate on a day-to-day in Africa, So those are the if I may say on that statement by Smart Amaric, that we need that as well, where we can, as such platforms, whether it might start small, it might not be as equal as another platform in America, whatever, but we should not stop because others are saying, you guys are not serious, or you guys, your production is still low, whatever, it's of low budget, whatever. No, we need to just keep on putting content. It's like if we're seeking for oil, we keep on going until we struck that oil. Imagine once we struck the oil, once that oil floods, once they strike oil, how it explodes, like the pressure, But once that explodes, then that's when now others will start feeling interest, and others will only get interest once they see that, hey, this guy has been pushing, he's consistent, he has never stopped, even though there was critics, there was resistance, there was people mocking, but the vision just kept on being built until others will say, hey, but let me go and see what's happening in here. It's like you passing in that place, the area, right? You find that in that area, there's always people pegged. Like asking yourself, you see cars being pegged there. Like every time you're passing, you're like, I wonder what's happening here, And they tell you, it's just bad. It's just bad people there. But one time you're like, man, let me just go in and let me just stop and ask, what's in here? Why people are so attracted to this place? And then maybe you go into that venue. Once you get into that venue, you find like, wow, there's so much beauty. There's so many things, activities in there. But because other people are demonizing it and say, that's a bad place, do not even worry. That man who owns that place is a politician, whatever. But when you look at the establishment, once you go inside, you like, now know why people are here now. Maybe people they're there to drink. There's it's a nice place, a nice environment to dine, eat as well, and other things. And when you start realizing that, wow, this is what attracts the people. So with every platform, as Africans, as we start, we won't get the shine. There will be people who say, those Africans, what do you expect from those Africans? But with time, others will say, let me see what's in these Africans. and they will start
Yeah.
catching the vibe and like, wow, okay, this is what these guys are really. There's so much that we can gain as well, into this thing. So I think as Africans, we should not stop, and such platforms that we are given now, let's utilize them, let's capitalize on them, and not the noise will always be there, but let's capitalize, let's use them, and let's do it to our let's tell our stories, let's tell our issues, let's raise them, let's discuss them, let's put them on front, let's bring solutions, let's and get everyone going and united into this thing.
All right, appreciate that, Ezra. Let me read this another comments from Asali. This is Asali, Swahili Nation family member. They say, just like money, media is a double-edged sword. It depends on how it is used. Simply a tool that solemnly depends on how one uses it. And also another one, before I allow Professor Ezra to say anything about this. There's always a starting point for growth. It's usually the time where criticism may fluctuate the momentum. Just keep going and let the haters hate. So definitely the first one, just like the money. Ezra?
What I'll add here is another dimension I'll add here is when we talk about media, what are we talking about? We're talking about content. We're talking about materials and content that speaks to the narratives that we relate to. So, the content and the materials out there in the media, are they the things that we as Africans relate to? Do they speak to us? Do they articulate our perspective and our values? And do they tell the story of the African life? The way Africans are living our life? Can we see it? So can I go out there, look for media that speaks to me, that talks to me, and that speaks about me and who I am and my experience and my values as an African? And the answer is, what you find is most of the time, no. The narratives that we have, the content that we have out there speaks aspects of who we are, not all of who we are. So there are conflicts in Africa, okay? Conflicts across the continent. And I think yesterday when you're talking about, Professor Lumumba, when you were sharing that, and then if any one of you have managed to see the entirety of his lecture, what you realize is that there's so many conflicts across Africa. But who's telling the story of these conflicts? And how are these conflicts being played out on the traditional media or even on social media, on new media? And what is our input in those conversations? And the narrative that has been painted of us, what is our inputs? What is our say in it? And so if you break down media and try to understand what role media plays in our society, you realize that it plays a major role, plays a critical role. Policies have been made, decisions have been made, okay, actions have been taken. It plays a major role, but we don't have as much say as we deserve to have in that. So conflicts have been told. The stories of conflict across Africa have been told, but we don't have a say. We don't have as much say in it. We don't have our stories being told in those media, and the media that's out there. So yes, those conflicts do exist. Well, but what is the perspective of Mali in this case? Well, what do Malians think about the conflict? How do they perceive it? How do they feel a part of it? How do they feel empowered to do something about it, to resolve the tensions that those media platforms are communicating to the world? What is the Africa role in
and the way the media portrays our conflicts and our tensions. And what is the media's role in helping us, insert our voices in those platforms? And the answer to that, far too often, is almost none. We don't have as much say in our own affairs as medias that are not from our area, from our own communities, are talking about. We don't have as much say. We don't have as much input that we ought to have. So that's the thing. That's the issue at hand here. Like, so what the Swahili Nation is doing is trying to insert our narrative into it. It's trying to give you a platform so that your voices can be heard. And by promoting this platform, you are promoting your own voices. And so that's what's at stake here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ezra, for your insight. We have one question here. I want you gentlemen to jump in. Asali, she's asking again, how can we use pre-existing media that is already playing a major role for people of Africa in reality? Can we even use media in the first place?
I'll let Ezra go first.
Okay. On the
Ezra,
question,
you look smart with that head on your head.
I think looking at pre-existing media, because they've got footprint, they've got news anchors, they've got media houses or branches or satellite offices in different places or different countries. We can use them, but at the end of the day, we need to be creating more voices. I think there's still big room for everyone to put platforms into the space in the content into the media space. I don't think we, in this day and age, that we should be really relying so much on pre-existing media only. Obviously they've got the footprint, they've got they control the news, what do you call this, the satellites and all that stuff. But there's many platforms where we still need to play a role in terms of information. That's why even pre-existing media, it's using even trends. They're also copying trends of like, for example, if you go to Twitter or something, you can see the top trends of the day in each country. Like in America, for example, there's trends, things that are trending there in America, and there's things that might be trending in Tanzania or South Africa, for example, and they're all different things. So sometimes those are the things that you find that even media, like the pre-existing media, are even biting on other platforms. So meaning we also need to be putting content and be in that space so that it's not always one narrative that's being told by the same people, and they can, because now when you look at media in the social media space, in the social networks, social platforms like your Facebook, Twitter, and stuff, it's a bit different there. They're also they also bite into other media houses to say, oh, they look at trends. Whoever is working in a media house today or in a TV program today, they have a guy who's doing content, who's uploading content online for them. He also checks the trends. Hey guys, have you seen this? Sometimes it doesn't even need the journalist to even know, but the guy who's uploading content will be the first guy to say, why are we not publishing this story? It's trending in the country. There's been 1, 2, 3 happening. Then they'll jump on a ship to go and try to get the content and also put it on their news platform. So media, it's no longer about pre-existing media giving us everything. They're also taking from other people who are everywhere in terms of content, putting content out there. For example, now if you had to say you had to make a breaking news of something that happened, maybe you said there's a new president being installed in Tanzania now, you know that some people might even just rebroadcast your message, or share your message without even getting the facts. That's why there's also a fine line between the truth and and a lie. How a lie can just quickly escalate. You can just say, "Oh, the other president also just passed away," and you'll be like, "What? Are you serious?" You know, first people, if you look at now, if there's a breaking news, in most cases, people will look at their phones. They first take their phones. They want to check. Oh,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
true is this? How
yeah,
true is, you know? Or start calling people. Oh, did you hear this? Or on WhatsApp or whatever platforms, they start using their social networks before they can even sometimes watch the real news. And because sometimes you're far from the TV, you can't watch the old traditional news to say, I'm looking at the breaking news. Your breaking news will probably be on your social network or on your phone. You've got the news there. You've got anything that you see, it's on your mobile. So now media has moved so much into our mobile devices are now playing a big role in terms of where we get the content. So that's why it's so easy to even spread lies. Some of things can be fake news. That's why there's so many fake news as well, where we just hear so artist passed away, but when after a
yeah,
few minutes you realize, no, that guy didn't pass away. It's just somebody just trying to create their own trend. So I don't
yeah,
think we should be focusing too much on uh, really pre-existing media. It will still play a role. It will still be their platform. They still have
yeah,
their space, but it's a room for everyone to grow. Like imagine if one nation, like if when it grows, I'm telling you, there will be people, media houses, pre-existing media that will come to you, Mika, and say, "Hey, we'd love to give you a slot on such time on our network. Will you be interested in doing that?" If so, that's why if you check the content now, it's no longer about you going to create a profile and going to bid for a slot on TV or anything like that. Sometimes just having a
yeah,
trend, something that's trending online for you to if they are interested in your content, you'll get approached by even other international pre-existing media, your CNNs, to say, "Can we do a video on you? Can we do a documentary on you? How you've moved from overseas, came back home, you build a platform here, it's growing, it's big, it's doing this, it's doing this." You will have those people now approach you, even pre-existing media. So, but for them, it's also creating more content using you, hopping into you, and taking some of your subscribers in a way, so that, hey guys, be aware that they are also existing. I'm telling you. So that's why pre-existing media currently is following trends. It's no longer the driver of what we see. They are also looking at other
yeah,
things. As I told you, most of the media houses, if you check, they've got a social network page on all the platforms. So the guys that are uploading it, they also watch every day top trends. This is trending. Oh, this is losing interest. We won't even broadcast it anymore. They'll go back to the next thing, to the next thing. But all those things, the trends are mostly online. So they'll check, is it worth us broadcasting such a thing? And you find that whoever's trending on that thing is not even a popular person. It might just be an ordinary person. But it so happened that whatever they're doing is just touching the nation as a whole, or even the world, or the continent as a whole. So people who are just trying to jump into, hey, can we have you joining us here? Can we have you doing this? So those are the things where pre-existing media, yes, they already have the footprint, they have the reach, they have the budget, the whatever. But for us, it's for us to create more content that will put another a
yeah,
narrative. They'll hop in. If they want to be part of us, they'll be part of us. If they want to work with you, it's still another way going forward. It's no longer the case of everyone must now go back at the doors of big media houses. No longer the case anymore. You can, but it's no longer like a necessity where everyone had to, like, for you to have your music played. For example, look at music, for example, how there's so many independent artists that have flourished, and some are making money without having to be signed on a big record label anymore. All they need is for them to put them on all the streaming platforms online, and they can have all their royalties. They can have so much things that it's coming to, the income goes direct to them. It's no longer having to have many middlemen, publishers, this and this, promoter, this and this. So even though in the record business, there's still the old boys, the old club, your Sonys, your Universal, your Warner, all those things, they're still there. They still have a space, they still have the budgets to get an artist and pay and give him money to promote him and then all that stuff. But there's so many now independent artists that are making money without even having to be tied to any contracts anymore. you know so I think there's a ecosystem that can coexist within the old and the new. But now the new is the trend. It's now the trend, the vibe where people are going, and it's the young people. look at how even big companies like your Facebook, let's just look at Facebook, right? Facebook, for example, or even this platform that we are in, it's owned by Google or Alphabet. Alphabet is a parent company, owns Google, it owns your YouTube and everything. But if you look at all these companies now, because your creative level can sometimes go as so far, you know? Like if you look at Facebook, it has grown so far, but I mean, they look at the market, where things are going. They saw that Instagram was coming up so much. They bought Facebook, they bought Instagram. They brought it into they look at what's the biggest platform in the world. They look at WhatsApp, for example, you know. So things like that, where they're also just buying into ideas and all these things. If you look, it's just young people who created some things, and when they pop up and they see the power of it, the money will just have to come and now want to speak to you, you know. So that's why I'm saying they can coexist. It's and but the more content is being created independently, the better than just being channeled into one pre-existing media, for example.
Just to a little bit to extend Ezra's perspective here is what characterizes media. Let's say from where I am right now, the US. What characterizes what is the word that describes aptly and efficiently the kind of media that exists, that dominate the world, that comes from, let's say, from places like the US, like CNN and Fox News, all these other media or MSNBC in the US, and then Al Jazeera and BBC by extension, France 24 by extension, because they are an extension of that mindset. What characterizes the word that comes to me is sensationalism. Sensationalism sells viewership. These companies, particularly those in the US, they depend on advertising. Including like the new media. You got like YouTube that depends on advertising, Facebook that depends on advertising, Google that depends on. So advertising, when we say advertising, we're talking about marketing platforms. These are marketing platforms. So you hook an audience, you keep them hooked, sustain them, and then sell a product or two, sell a service. So sensationalism is one of the most powerful instruments to get somebody's attention. So this is the attention market. How do I keep an audience long enough, paying attention at the maximum possible, and then sell them a product or two, a service or two? How do I do that? You sensationalize the stories. You make the stories be more than what they are. You take a conflict. So conflict in of itself is causing a lot of problems, a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, and then you add salt into it. You spice it up, and you focus the angles that will create the maximum possible sensation. And that's what media is about. And then you're talking about trend. Trend allows you to see what is on top of the mind of our audience, or potential audience. And this new media, like Israel was trying to explain to us, are using this new media, the old media, traditional media, using new media to really understand their audience and really to kind of come up with means and methods of hooking them, having a hook on them, and then sustaining that hook, and then selling ideas, selling products, selling services. That is the crack of what those people are focused on. Now, what about African media? What about African traditional media? Like a pre-existing media, like the person who asked earlier, the pre-existing media. What do? They just follow the trails left by this big media. So BBC will have a coverage on a coup d'etat in Guinea, and a major South African media would just follow that. Or a Nigerian media will follow that, or an Ethiopian media is following that, or somewhere like African media, African traditional media are like almost cut from the same cloth. There's no originality. There's no asking questions of like, okay, I am following the storyline, the narrative that BBC is selling, but what is the African angle to this? Nobody's asking that question. None of this traditional media in Africa, they don't necessarily, have rigor in their efforts as they try to latch on stories that have been promoted, a narrative that have been promoted somewhere else, and they just following that line without really asking the really tough questions that you would expect African media to ask. Now, how do we those who are using the new media come into the picture of that? How do we come and take part and shape the flow of news? Is by setting our own trend. How do we game the game? By gaming the game. By gaming the game, that means by coming in and setting the trends. Setting the trends, even if they don't cover it, but somebody who has happened to read a BBC article that is so biased, so one-sided, by using our new media, okay, whoever has read or whoever has seen that, have consumed that media that is coming out of this power that be, what we do is that we give them, okay, this is like they will always go to Twitter, they will always go to social media to expand on their their view of the stories, and then by being in that trend line, we will get to set the agenda, or at least influence the agenda. Even if you don't get to set the agenda, we're going to influence the agenda. If the BBC had a very flawed story about Tanzania, and the new media trends and Twitter and social media is countering that, those consuming traditional media have now they will have now new alternative to really kind of have a much bigger and broader set of view that they would normally not have. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, indeed, Nacho.
Salam.
How are you, everyone?
Good.
I've been listening to you guys. It was really constructive conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Feel free to chime in. Feel free to step in. Okay.
Can she hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
It was echoing a little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay.
No, okay.
Go ahead.
There was a question that was posted earlier. I don't know if you also want to add to it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about it, so just go ahead and I'll continue to later on. Let me listen for a while.
Okay. So I would say the resolution to this issue is, okay, we don't have the resources, or we cannot mobilize the resources, the big money, the big capital to be able to step in and really have our own voice in the larger scheme of things. But what we could do is use new media to really also push our agenda and our perspective. That's the point I wanted to make.
That's
Very
beautiful.
true. I mean, that's where now we can start. Since, as you said, like in terms of the resources being of scarcity at the moment,
Yeah.
um, hence the pre-existing media they've got a footprint. They've got news anchors everywhere. They've got budgets for maybe for Africa. They've got a budget and news anchors that they'll be placing there, and whenever there's a story breaking out, they know that they can always rely on a news anchor to go to that area or drive to that area to go and broadcast and set up a content and then sell them, send it to the headquarters, and then they rebroadcast with the whole world, you know. So for us now, as I said, like we, as you also said that whatever media that we can have or where platforms are available for us to put content out, we need to also occupy the space. We should not wait for all the resources to be there in our disposal before we can start, because then we'll be paralyzed. We'll just forever be waiting for, you know, something that's not just going to come now, or it'll be, even if it comes now by somebody else, we might not feel that we have the freedom to express ourselves more, because now there's money and you're told this story cannot go out this way, it needs to go out this way. So but when we have platforms, other platforms, then there's more freedom to take out content out without so many filters, you know. Unlike in traditional or pre-existing
Yeah.
media when
Yeah.
there's so many filters, as you say, sensationalism sells for them and makes money for the news corporations or the other big media houses, you know.
Yeah. I mean, when we say sensationalism, we're talking about, like, these are companies exploiting our fears
Mm,
and our worry. That's like, go to the basic instinct of, basic human survival instinct,
mm,
Yeah.
and that's where you find it. So you're just tapping into our instinct for survival, our instinct for self-preservation,
Mhm.
uh, and that's the issue. Like, let me give you an example. A recent case where Ethiopian Airlines was on the media, and I think there's
Mhm.
a CNN report where they they tried to make a case that the airline was violating some kind of laws and regulations, the aviation laws and aviation regulations,
Mhm.
and, and like the extent of the audacity on their part to
Yes.
really, like, really go for the juggler. Like, they didn't
I
even
think.
pretend, they didn't even pretend to vet the evidence they are posting. Like, very screwed up evidence,
Mhm.
where in the documentations, the forged documentation they put up,
Mhm.
uh, they even invented a ministry that never existed. This is a story
Yes.
about Ethiopian at the early stage of the conflict, when it started in November 2020,
Yeah.
early November 2020. What
Mhm.
happened was that, their story goes, in the early days of the war, the Ethiopian Airlines was involved in transporting military and weapons to Eritrea, and then and their evidence was documentations of cargo documentations, and then in it says, on the documentations, and this is how you know it's forged: Ministry
Yeah.
of Asmara.
Yes.
Asmara is the capital city of Eritrea, and
Yes.
Eritrea doesn't have a Ministry of Asmara. So, like, address from the Ethiopian Defense Forces is like from, like, in the address section says it's from, I think, Ethiopian Defense Forces, and two is Ministry of Asmara. And then another one is where they take a picture of a cargo and they
Mhm.
blurred the picture.
Yes.
So when you do actually this, when you use these photo editors to unblur it, what you see is the straps that are used in the cargo plane, the straps that are used to secure the cargo, has Fly Emirates in it, not Ethiopian Airlines. Fly Emirates in it. It's a picture taken, potentially taken from an Emirates airline. that, and then they have blurred that, and then unblurred a part that corresponds to the itinerary, which is the number, the code for the flight. So say so you go there and you see, so like CNN is going after Ethiopian Airlines because, and then they make a case after the report was released. You had the author of the report publicly saying that her reporting is being used to place sanctions on Ethiopia and Ethiopian Airlines. And Ethiopian Airlines is the largest African and one of the largest airlines in the world.
That is the reason.
Yes, and then this is what they do. This is interesting. Like, it's so mind blowing. As soon after that reporting, CNN did a separate report where they brought in an expert to vet the reporting. And this person is, I think, was a major player in an American agency that manages aviation. The TSA, I think, is transport and or something that has to do. I think FAA, Federal Aviation Agency, is something to that effect. And then that person comes in and says, it debunks completely and says, Ethiopian Airlines, in effect, she didn't say it directly, but she said, Ethiopian Airlines, in effect, has the right. The Ethiopian government has the right in times of emergency to call domestic airlines to carry out emergency-related initiatives. And she gives examples of the American Airlines. Not the brand American Airlines, but airlines in America, or like United Airlines, all these other airlines, transporting American military units. These are civilian airlines in their full gear, in their own military gear. And so why CNN do that? Is because they knew liability would come after them. Liability in that Ethiopian Airlines has a standing to sue them. So in order to avoid being sued, they debunk their own story. They debunk their own story. They brought another person. Because if Ethiopian Airlines goes to court and says CNN is going after our business, it's affecting our business, is doing this, and CNN will claim, no. Our reporting was balanced. The evidence is we brought this other person who countered the other reporting that we did. So they are just because they knew that their reporting had flaws in it, and then it could be ground for suits. Like this, when you get sued, we're talking about billions, because the material damage to Ethiopian Airlines is so serious it could sue them for the entire CNN company. And then you had Boeing, for example, a company like Boeing, in the background, a major sponsor of the CNN platform, in the background, making those calls and say, like, what the heck are you doing? Ethiopian Airlines is one of our biggest clients, and you are, in effect,
you're going after them,
affecting Americans' economy. Ethiopian Airlines pays billions of dollars every year for planes and parts and services they get from Boeing. And so you're talking about American jobs that Ethiopian Airlines has created. So the story here is one is sensationalism, and then you use fear and worries and nerves of Ethiopians. The possibility of being sanctioned. Our flag carrier being sanctioned, and then Ethiopian Airlines is not just an Ethiopian icon; it's an African icon. So you have a broader set of So, and then the trend line on social media was off the hook. It went crazy. Like the social media went nuts with people pointing out all these forgeries that I was talking about. all these inconsistencies that I was talking about. And then quickly you had a response from CNN countering the story, their own story, debunking their own stories. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, like, sometimes you can influence traditional media using new media, but even if you don't have a platform like the way they have, we now have a new kind of platform that could tip the balance. And that's the point I wanted to make. Sorry for the extended explanation here.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
You are explaining very that's the very well a very strong points that you mentioned. It's when it comes about media, and especially this traditional way of media, you see there's always a side. There's always a political side. There's always a financial need. Somebody or someone is donating some medias that they have to stand to that ground. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter if it is beneficial for the community or that doesn't make sense. That's not the question. The question is the things that you present, how can you bring it to your own attention? How can you bring it for your own benefit? So you take the narrative whichever way you want to take it. That's how the media is going. Whether it is when it comes in African medias, there are government medias that they always talk about the positive part of the government. It doesn't matter how much corruption is there. It doesn't matter how much wicked things are happening. They don't talk. No, because they get paid from the government. They are the mouths of the picture of the government. At the same time, you come to Western medias, it does when you see it, it's the same thing. And just they are not owned by the government officially, but they are owned by some groups that has a specific interest in it. And they always gonna stand and speak and defend that interest. Whichever case come, they will twist the narrative to their interest. That's how they are doing it. And as young people in Africa, as a Pan-Africanist, what is that we want to do? What is that we want to see as a media platform to reach the community? What is it that we want as a One Africa, the one that we wish to see as a one family, one community, we wish to see? What is it that we need to do? Because this is real, it's official. Sometimes they don't even hide it. They don't, because they think they have too much power, too much control. They may not lose the ground. But us as a community, if we get up from the ground and say, okay, we need Africa in one way. And the social media, whether it is YouTube or Facebook or any other media that we want to do, I think the best thing we can do is the one thing that you are doing right now, having these platforms to talk about the truth and to wake up communities as to see the reality, and instead of only listening one media one way, joining different community groups in Africa, joining different community group in your own country, and see where the talk is going. If you are able to add up some positive impact, adding on those impacts, adding comments, giving ideas, and receiving some ideas, and bringing them to your own platform and share it to your own groups too. So that will help us. I think that's one of the things that to create and also to create more content. Focusing on people, to create more content and to have a structured plan on the goal of coming together, on being one, and always working on that plan, working on that group. Any discussion you have or any content that you make, you push it back to that point that people can see as an African, that this is where we want to go. This is what we see, and make those contents, and also sharing the other people contents, right? I see I really enjoy watching different people. I see one girl from Kenya. I see one from Uganda. And I see you are from Tanzania. I see different people, different contents from different part of Africa. The reason I do that is because I want to learn at the same time, but I want to give back too. So this is where we are, and it will be easier for me to talk to my fellow Ethiopian people and say, no, did you see that Tanzanian guy, how he worked hard? And I share, they will be interested in listening to me because they know me, than you try to convince them. But if I don't join your group and learn from you and share with you, I cannot make those connections, right? So doing it, sharing also the other thing, not only creating. The other thing is always, when we see news, we really need to encourage our brothers and sisters to ask why before they make a judgment, right? Because earlier my brother was saying, like, there are lots of fake news. Somebody will die for 24 hours and the next day he will come back and say, no, I'm here. Somebody's talking about me. Why are you burying me while I'm alive, right? So when we see news or some pictures, some videos, it's better just to stand and to ask why. So to encourage our friends also to ask why. When they see the media, they let them stand and ask why, how, okay, what is the interest of that person by posting that? Usually those are the things that will help us not to spread false news, by the way, and also for us to stand and to speak the truth in any time. So it will help us. I think these are the things that will help us. Somebody was mentioning about Trevor Noah, and he said, he has 10 million, so we don't. I was looking at it on the comments, and he was talking about he has 10 million followers, and no one about that. And yes, but one person is not enough. That's one thing. The second thing is there will be another Africans who doesn't have the same ideology with him, right? So we want more people to have more than 10 million followers that they can make influence in social media. They can go out and defend the reality of Africa. They can go out and explain the situation that is happening. Not, I'm tired of being lectured by someone who does not know Africa at all, like who doesn't live in Africa. How come you tell me you are in London or here in Washington, D.C., and say you are expert on something in Africa? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't, because you were not there, you didn't see it. It's better to ask the farmer in Africa, whether it is in Nigeria or Uganda, that they know the situation from the ground. And they are the ones who are expert on them.
Yeah.
And but if we are able to go there and bring that pictures, bring that real life to media, I think will be beneficial. Then, and these are some ideas that I have. If I have more, I will continue later. Thank you for giving me time.
Definitely, I appreciate you for sharing that. It means a lot. You know, it gave me thinking about the role of media, and that's what we're discussing about today. You know, the reason why we have media, it's also we have media because it's there to represent people. It's there to keep the government in check as well. But when you look at this big media that we are seeing, it represents the people of America. It represents the people of British, you know what I'm saying? Oh, the UK, I mean, it represents, you know, those kind of, and it represents their government. So when it comes to issues like dealing with Ethiopia and the US, and then you have the US media talk about it, what do you expect? It's definitely, it's going to be a bias, and so you find some Africans who are looking and watching, catching up with African news coming from the CNN and BBC. Do you expect to see something like legitimate about your own continent, about your own country, while you have a Western media there speaking about it? First of all, first thing, we need to be grateful that these medias they are giving us platform. They talk about our stories. This first thing. Okay, on the other side, I know they're not talking like the way they're supposed to share, but it's their media. They made it, but they're talking about Africa. All right, so for that, we need to be grateful. Second, we need to find the alternative. What can we do? We want Africa to talk about our own stories. We want to explain about our situation. We wanna present our continent and our people. So we need the media. We need the platforms that will talk about Africa. It will represent the people of Africa. So if it is that, if that is the big media that we have in every country, if that is your Facebook page, Instagram page, because everybody has influence, right? And our influence, it range. I might have influence of 2,000 people. You might have influence of 5,000 people. Somebody might have influence of 100 people. All of us, we have influence to some extent. So it's a time for us to use the platform that we have, no matter how big or small it is, to talk about our stories, to talk about what is happening in Africa. For example, CNN can talk about Ethiopian Airlines, and I saw that news. And for me, like, my first instinct, it was, it doesn't really make sense to me, because I know there's something going on, tension between the US and Ethiopia for a while, and then now you have another news on top of it, just making things worse about what is happening there, and everybody's just, the thing is, people who are watching those news, people who are not from Africa, let's say people who are not from Ethiopia, because a lot of Ethiopia, they were saying that, oh, no, this is not okay, this is not right, this is a lie. But most of people, I believe most of people, they believed it from other countries. Maybe enemies of Ethiopia, they believed it about it, and that's why we come down to unity again, because if I'm African and I'm enemy of Ethiopia, I'm going to believe that news because I want Ethiopia to go down, right? But if I see Ethiopia as my brother and I see as we one, then I'm going to be thinking that, this is not right and I got to do something about it. If it is writing something online after being informed and knowing what's going on, I can do that. If it is talking about that situation like the way we're doing it, we can do that. Because we have to present our stories. We have to talk about our stories. They're not going to stop talking about us. They're not going to stop making stories and, making news about us.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we doing about ourselves? What are we doing about the stories that are happening in our countries? And yes, do we support that? The person who mentioned Trevor Noah, I love Trevor Noah. I watch him a lot of time, because I love the way he tells his stories. But I believe Trevor Noah, he has a limit, because he is still in the American media, and even though he's trying his best to talk about Africa as well, but he has some limit. He's not gonna go all the way, in and say whatever he wanna say. He has some rules there. He has some regulations there. He's always gonna have some limit to talk about issues, and to be careful to side that, okay, where am I gonna side here? He has to be like that, sometimes. But when we have medias and when you have people who they own, like Africans own their own media, because most of medias here in Africa, guys, I gotta be honest, it's about entertainment. All right, it's about entertainment. And other African medias, you have like BBC Swahili. BBC, it's for them. Or BBC Africa. That is just a little category, but they're still fulfilling their vision. The vision comes from the big dog, and that is BBC itself or CNN itself. So we need African media that they're not just going to base on entertainment, but they're going to base on something else, the welfare of people. Media that will represent people. Because when you have a media of entertainment, then you represent just a small part of people, African people. But you have farmers, you have normal folks, Africans, who they want their story to be heard. They cannot sing, they cannot dance, they cannot do comedy, they cannot do anything. Where do we get to hear their stories? We go to CNN to watch their story and listening to their stories. We go to BBC to watch their story. What about our own thing? So I think it's a big challenge. And Ezra, he mentioned this at the beginning, that we also need to support our own stuff, our own thing. I cannot stop you loving CNN and BBC. I watch them sometimes, but we need to have our priority. And our priority should be Africa. Our priority should be us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
You know,
frustrated sometimes when I think about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like the crisis in Ethiopia is shining light on the nature and the motivations of these media. I can give you like
Yes.
some recent occasions, recent event. They are over. I think there's like over close to 40 foreign ministers,
Mm.
close to 40 foreign ministers, African foreign ministers, are currently in a conference in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa today, as we are speaking
Mm.
today, from all over Africa. That's as part of the African Union. It's the first time they are meeting in person in 2 years.
Wow.
Do you hear that in the media? And the fact that they are in a country that is in the midst of major conflict, wouldn't that make it an interesting news to cover? Oh, African foreign ministers are descending into the capitals of Ethiopia for their
Mm.
usual African Union summit, and would they be talking to Ethiopians about their, would they be telling Ethiopians to stop their war in northern? They're not even saying that. It's just completely
Mm.
about it. And then let me give you another example.
Yeah.
Like a few days ago, the rebel force on the other side of the conflict made a statement to the effect to like major Western media about the start of a major offensive by the Ethiopian armed forces. The rebel forces are telling Reuters and other news agencies that the Ethiopian government's full-scale air and ground assaults on Tigray Liberation Front's positions in part of Ethiopia. And they made that statement to news outlets. And the news outlets from Reuters, everybody else followed together. Like Al Jazeera followed, BBC followed, CNN followed. Every major news that you can think about followed that line of thinking from a story that emerged from the rebel forces. And then total coverage of it on Western medias. Few days later, the Ethiopian side, the Ethiopian government, this is a full-fledged government, released a statement regarding the very same event that has been talked of from the rebel side. And absolute silence, absolute quiet. Nobody is mentioning it. Nobody is saying about it. Nobody is quoting the government on the very same event. The two side of the two parties in the conflict. One side, the rebel side, their point of view, their perspective, and their angle to what's going on is giving a broad coverage, and then the government side is not getting broad coverage. Why do I mention this? It's not for you, and I don't say this for you to seek your sympathy toward the government of Ethiopia. No. The reason I say this to you is to give you an idea. If you are following CNN, if you are listening to all this Western media, is to give you an idea of how agendas, how they set agendas. That they have agendas. They are part of, sometimes they are part of the conflict. When people say, oh, these two conflicting parties sit down and settle their conflict through negotiation, through peaceful means, I say that table should include Western powers, African powers, and media. They are party to the conflict. So what we have is the same thing across Africa. You talk about conflict across Africa. It's always the media is part of it. So
Of course, yeah.
like the credibility part, just watch out for that. Credibility is not. Don't give a blank check to this media. Listen to their stories as a starting point of your interrogation of the stories, but not as an end point.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, But I just want to say, it's like it broke my heart when I think about the war in Ethiopia right now. It's my brother and sisters in both sides are losing their life. It's really broke my heart. I'm telling you. I see myself and I say, how come I'm 30 something? So how come with these years I see 3 wars in my age? How come this happened? It is so saddening. It's so bad, and I don't know. I don't know how to maybe I will do it another day because we're talking about media, but it's so sad that it's happening in my country. It's so sad this is happening, and I'm looking back again. Brothers and sisters are dying, okay, paying the price of somebody else's politics interest. Saying that, when you see the media of especially the Western, let me just say Western. I saw something on some social platform with one of my groups, and they were sharing the thing that U.S. Department, sometimes every certain years they unclassify some papers. So one of the papers, their expectation was like in certain years there will be no country called Ethiopia. Like there will be too much ethnic fights, and the country will be no country at all. Like they were expecting it to be some. How do I put it? Whether it's like Somalia, you see no strength government at all, or all ethnics will be divided and there will be no country called Ethiopia. That they wrote it. That was their expectation. That's they tried to put a destiny for that country. So coming to the end of that false prophecy, though they have to try their best to make it happen. Because they are so smart, right? They studied very well, and they were prophesying something that will happen in the world. They were doing it for each country. So by their imagination, with the conflict that the country called Ethiopia will not be a country at all. That's that. So when you see the media fighting too hard, it's not only the media, it is the whole system, the political system, the whole elites of the US or the country. They were expecting it to happen and it didn't happen. So they have to work for it. They have to do their best to say, oh, we did say this, we determined it before and it happened. And no, it won't happen. Sorry for disappointing you, but it will not happen. The people are far more greater and far more tolerant than you expect. And sometimes when you see the media, it's not only the thing that we see in the front. So that's why we really need to work from ourselves, from our community. I'm just giving it as an example for Ethiopia because he mentioned it, and I'm just putting it there. If you go ahead and see every country, they have their own determination. They have their own prophecy. I'm just calling it prophecy. Just they have planned their imagination. This will happen in 20 years in this country. And they are here. They don't know the people there. They don't know the mentality, how strong they are, how loving and caring they are for their brothers and sisters. They don't understand that as how African community live together, even though with wars, with struggles, with hungers, but they will stand and care for somebody else. So we should bring that out and show to the people that it is. This is what we have now. Enough, you talk too much for 100 years and we'll listen to you. So we need to talk now. Now we will teach you how to live. Did you guys notice some of the social medias about also some of the ideas called off-grid living?
I've heard of them.
I've seen them.
It is literally living in a farm, being a farmer, as simple as that. It's simple. Being a farmer, you got your own land. You make your own food, and you sustain your society, your life by yourself. You don't depend on anything. You depend on nature, right? And they call it off-grid, and now it's like a top trend thingy. People keep going out far away from the city and buying lands and try to live their own, having their own cattle, having their own thing. And I am looking at them and say, didn't you tell us that was wrong?
That's the way we live in Africa.
Yeah, didn't you tell us that you guys are backward, you know nothing, because you were sustaining the farm and you are living, keeping the ecosystem in the natural system properly. And now it is a trend. Now it is like the correct thing ever, that keeping all the, these are the things. These are
Everything
the things.
begins in Africa.
I'm telling you, and they want us to drop it. But I think that some of the things, as we talked last time, some of the things that we have, we need to go back, we need to continue holding on it, and also adding the positive things that we have and go from there. Because that's what we live. We live actually with nature, not protecting everything and keeping the ecosystem very well. That's how we live. That was the right thing. And now media, you see them like 10K followers. Why? Because they are farmers. They're just living in the farm. And I grew up with animals, and I know how to live with in a farm with farms. And it makes me so amazed that the old knowledge that we had, and still think that it is the right thing, and they keep telling us, no, you're wrong, and they go back and they do the same thing. And so we have to bring it out and talk about it. We have to show it. We have to record it and make it the best top YouTube presentations, the good contents. And there are lots of them in Africa. Like, you don't have to search it. It is our African's lifestyle. It's not something you have to search it about it. It's our lifestyle. How we live together, how we keep the environment and everything. So these are my points. Thank you again.
Yeah, appreciate. Ezra, you want to say something?
No, I was saying that off-grid living and being a trend and stuff, and even in America, the Amish people. I don't know, Prof, if you know about them.
Yeah,
they're in America.
Yeah.
They also live almost a similar lifestyle where they are mostly farmers, and they don't really mix a lot with other people as well. Living something like that. But what I've noticed also with the off-grid, it's all about also now the modern way of so-called off-grid living, where they put solar panels. They still have all their luxuries, but then they put solar panels. They recycle water. They've got water filters, and which is sure it's something else that they come, as you say, as Mika said, that everything started in Africa. It's just now people bring it back in a modern way, in such a way that they can package it to look cool, to look,
and then they say they discovered.
That's why we need to portray African living style, that it is a stylish way. That's why we need to show it that actually this one is better than the other ones. In the first one, the first package was greater actually, because when you see it in media, because we are talking media, right? When you see it in media and being portrayed as the coolest thing that you are doing, or when you see it in media and being portrayed, look how poor they are. Maybe I don't know, we call them nomad people, right? I'm sorry, I'm just gonna ask you. Nomads, right? So,
and
I was like, what's going on?
The nomadic people.
some things. So when you see it, if you go in Afar in Ethiopia and Afar or Somali, because I go around a little bit in Ethiopia, and when you see them walking around with their camels, with their different cattle, and the Western media portrays that as a poverty for long time.
Yeah.
And if you calculate their cattle with money, they are the richest people. They just don't want too much luxury. They just know how to live with the society. But we have to portray that correctly. It is our job now as a youth, as a people who have opportunity, then the social, that have the social medias, maybe the language and the connection that we have. It is our job to portray that was the correct thing, and it's still the correct thing.
Yeah. I want to say, you haven't done yet.
I'm done.
Sorry, I think Ezra was still sharing.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was just zoomed into what you were saying, and just to add what you were saying about the nomadic people, and we still have the Tuareg people in Mali, Chad, and we still have people that still live with their camels and their cattle. They also migrate and you know, and what you're saying it's very true. I mean, and such things, since we know that we have such things. That's where now the part of Africans now telling their story to say, we had these things before. This thing, we've been doing this. There's people that can go and even do videos to those people. Go and, get content from such places if you happen to know. Or when you go home, we can just even shoot even just a 2 minutes video of the region where maybe those people live. And, it would be nice to share. Once you guys go home sometimes, if you get a chance to go to those regions or those states or provinces, maybe just sometimes even take a video so that sometimes you can share and say, guys, remember when I was telling you about such and such people? Here's where they stay. Maybe took 1, 2, 3 pictures, and the other part of Africa can know that, wow, this thing, we can learn about certain things that we maybe are praising the other people, while we have people that are living that life, easy life. They've got the wealth, but they don't have that greed, that greed to say they want to build everything. They just want everything to themselves and building empires. All they're doing is just a simple life. And those people are not, most of them, they're not after taking, they don't fight people unless you obviously want to take their cattle. There's going to be war, But, most of them just want to live there with their families and their livestock and whatnot. They're not really into crazy things. And now, such things, if they can be documented by us as people and share with the world that you guys are talking about off-grid living. Here's people that are living well, and even this thing of renewable living, green technologies and whatnot. Africans, we've been recycling even prior to plastic. When Africa became dirty, when plastic came to Africa, if you look at it, let's just be honest. When plastic products came to Africa, that's when now we started having dirty cities or dirty streets.
Yes.
But prior to that, everything was recyclable. Everything we started recycling with reusable. Reusable. That's the right word. In fact, reusable.
Other means if you can.
Otherwise, it's gonna compost.
Yeah, if you can reuse, let's say, a plastic bottle for drinking again. You see a family somewhere in Africa planting something on it. They will cut the top and they plant something on it, and the top parts will be used as a funnel. Have you ever seen that?
Exactly.
Like people using the
put it in the car.
I used the other day. I'm putting oil in the car. Yes.
Yeah, I think there was a movie one time. I think it was made up. I don't remember the title of the movie, but I think a plane lands somewhere, and I think it's a West African country, is the middle of conflict. It was the middle of conflict. A plane is supposed to land there, and then lands there, and then before they know it, they leave, and then when they come back, the entire plane was like on the ground. Parts have been dismantled. by like the wheels and everything. Like people are using them to make puns or some kind of decorations. So like, yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Africans, our lifestyle, even though it's not cannot be characterized as the way lifestyle is in the West. Our lifestyle from an African perspective really suits Africans to an extent that if you bring a foreigner to live in African condition, they will find it hell. But the African doesn't describe it as hell. And this is not a description of hell for an African, but it's a description of hell from a Westerner. It's
different.
From the time of missionaries, they've come and told, oh, these savages. That's what they call. They call us the savages, the uneducated, uncivilized. We need to civilize them. We need to. I recommend, like anyone.
Get out of here, man.
I recommend the book called "The Ghost of Leopold."
Huh?
The Ghost of Leopold.
Oh, okay. That's the Belgian.
The ghost.
The story of what he did in Congo.
Yes.
The ghost of what?
Leopold. Leopold was a king of Belgium he privately owned the. So I'm gonna share. How do I share this? So you can Google it a little bit, but this guy invented genocide and atrocities before Hitler perfected that method. The population of Congo, this is the late 20th century. We're talking about the late 20th century. Oh no, I think it's the late 19th century and early 20th century. We're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Right before the First World War, and his atrocity was so bad that even other colonizers like France and Belgium were aghast by the way he was. His effect on Congo, I suspect, still are felt by communities in Congo. The population of Congo declined over the course of his governance. I suspect over the course of the time that King Leopold that run Congo as his own private backyard before the Belgian government took it away after the outcry, his effect on Congo was so bad, the population went down. The method that he used, cutting arms, like you could be a Congolese boy or girl could be liable to losing their arm based on the level of the amount of rubbers they extracted. If the rubber they extracted is marginally smaller than that is allotted to them, allotted to them by their masters, they could lose their arms and they could die. This is we are not talking about a long time ago, and it was so bad. It was not Africans that stopped it. It was European nations that says stop it. This is too far. You're going too far with this. And you go to Belgium, you see a famous statue or a basilica or a huge, massive palace. I can guarantee it was paid for by the arms of a Congolese. If what happened to a whole nation of Congo has happened to any one of our individuals, we'll be so traumatized, we will not be able to make one clean sentence in any conversation. That's how traumatizing it is. I see Congo as a nation, as a society that has been traumatized. And then
for years.
To add salt to injury, they had Lumumba, who comes in as the independence founding father. And then they didn't only kill him. They melted him on acid. so that not a single of his DNA is left behind. And it was done by Belgians and CIA operatives in the forest, in the equatorial forest, somewhere in the forest. So, and this is not something I'm making up. These are things documented by powers, the Western powers. Earlier, our sister talked about every 30 years they release secrets. It's one of those secrets that you could probably, if you go out there and do a research, you'll find it. And then, so the media part, back to the media part. First and foremost, media is not necessarily totally credible, be it from a West, from home, from anywhere. They're always giving you a set of perspective. You have to look at it, a perspective. If it is at best, it is a perspective. At worst, it is convoluted and twisted perspective. At best, it is my point of view. I see it this way. This is a story of Tanzania from my perspective. I'm telling it to you. That's the best scenario. The worst case scenario, my intention is to skew your view of Tanzania, to shape your view of Tanzania. So I add a little bit of spice to it. I twist perspective, I twist angles, and then shape that to you. Those are the things that we have in the media. So as Africans, that should not be the issue of debate. Whether media is credible or not, it's not a point of debate. Whatever you hear, whatever you see, whatever you're meant to understand, you have to ask the question, why? Why is CNN telling a story of an African icon in a way it's telling it? Why is that important? That is the thing that you have to understand. So media get used often and all the time, and people are negotiating. The Chinese and Americans are negotiating in the back rooms. You don't see the negotiations, but in the front rooms, in the media rooms, you hear pressure being applied on China, or China applying pressure on America in the media. Yeah, I mean, America will be pushing the button, the Hong Kong button, or the Muslims who are being persecuted, so-called persecuted in some part of China. They push that button, and the Chinese will press the button of, oh, you have debts, or you have racial issues that are going on. So they are pressing buttons in order to influence what is going on inside the rooms. So this discussion between the Americans and the Ethiopians are taking place somewhere in the background. Somebody's trying to apply pressure. That's how you have to appreciate media, and so that's why we look at it. I think Kuru is here. I want to give Kuru an opportunity to.
Before Kuru jumps in, Kuru, it's good to have you here. We're discussing. I said this at the beginning that the topic that we discussed today, Kuru suggested, yesterday. So appreciate for that. We had such an amazing discussion. You asked, what did I miss? You missed everything. But it doesn't matter how we start, but how we end. And having you here right now, I think it's an amazing opportunity for you to share your perspective and what were you thinking when you're writing this this topic. So I'm gonna give you a chance to come and to say whatever you want to say. But then at the end as well, I think I will give you guys opportunity as well to give you a final statements as well, so that we may leave. And we can try to keep it a little bit short this time. Kuru, welcome.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you always.
Yeah, I'm just having a very bad connection today. The internet connection here is not really that good. How are you guys? What up?
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Good. One Africa.
Yeah.
Salam.
One Africa. How are you? It's good to see you in this Annet also. Okay. So what I was going to say,
right here.
I proposed this title, right? Because I really want us to really think about like what's really going on today, and the influence that the media really has and the entertainment that is really has in Africa in general, right? So I was planning to do I prepared some kind of a little bit presentation about this kind of stuff. I was planning to prepare a little presentation because it's really important that people really know like what's really going on currently in our lives. So in terms of like the media, like media is like a weapon. For example, now in our current situation, the media is being used as a weapon to attack a country, literally a country. So I can give you an example for Ethiopian Airlines, or you can go back in the days of when the first journalist published a report saying that there is a famine in Ethiopia, and still today, many people associate Ethiopia with famine, with poverty, stuff like that, right? Even it happens in the northern part of Ethiopia, or the rest of the country was even in a greater shape. So that really had impacted the country still today. So that please don't underestimate the power of media. One, and the second is the entertainment. The entertainment that is really happening today, it is actually it's a culture cannibalism. I think this is exactly the word that I have to use. It's a cannibalism. Culture cannibalism is really happening today in our that you can see in the young generation, especially, right? So I think I think I missed a lot of conversations, so I really don't know like who's saying what and what has been talked about. But I just want to point out that, and I think we should really let people know that we do have a voice. All, there's always other perspective, right? So it's not only one perspective, but there's also other perspective. For example, like we don't hear nothing about example like Russia, but we only take information that comes from other countries like the U.S. and stuff like that when they talk about Russia, right? So this is I mean, it is really important that the media, has the ability to capture imagination. So it also shapes culture and it also shapes perspective, and it makes you direct, like directing the senses of what is real or not true, or what is real or is not real. Those are the things that we need to be very aware of. So, I mean, that's just and very briefly, that's what I would really want to say. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. To add to that just a little bit before I allow you guys to come and share your final thoughts. Talking about the power of media, you guys, this will shock you up. All right. If I ask you guys today about North Korea, what are you guys gonna say? Just in one word. Just one word. What are you guys gonna say? North Korea.
Missionaries.
Hunger.
Nuclear bombs.
Missionaries, Korea?
North Korea? You say North Korea?
North Korea.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I said North Korea. So I hear bombs from Ezra from SA and Professor Ezra, you said?
Hunger. Oh, famine.
Hunger. Okay, yeah, hunger, famine. What about Kuru?
Which one? Which country?
North Korea.
North Korea. North Korea.
North Korea. Kim Jong Il.
Yeah, Kim Jong Un right now. So okay, you mentioned that. And what about my sister?
The same thing. Kim, the king. I
Kim
call him
Jong Un.
king. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm asking this, because what is going on in North Korea? Nobody knows what is going on in North Korea. We know what's going on in North Korea because of Western media, how they talk about North Korea. So you find people who hate so much North Korea, hate so much Kim Jong Un. I'm not here, guys. I want to say this. I'm not defending Kim Jong Un. That guy, I know that he's dangerous, because of all the stories that we hear, right, about him. But another thing that it's always scary, and people, they were asking me all the time, is about the conflict between North and South. What is happening? And for the past 50 years, like, people, they'll be scared that, you know what? But I lived there for 9 years, and there was no moment that I left, and I was there, like, in Seoul. There was no moment that I left. Sometimes I was even surprised that the media is talking a lot of things about the tension that's going between North and South, and I'm right there, and I don't feel anything. People, they're having normal life. People, they're living just every day, just like nothing has happened. Do I say Kim Jong-un is a good guy? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there's so much exaggeration of what is happening in North Korea because of how much power that guy holds, because of the nuclear that he has, nuclear power. And that is something that it's threatened to the Western world and other parts of the world. So the best thing he can do is use the media platform as much as they can to talk anything they want about North Korea. And that's why they, even during the time of President Trump, they didn't really like it for him to go and to initiate that meeting that he had with Kim Jong-un. It was the first time in history. Obama, he tried that, but he fell. But during the Trump's I can't get the word. Yeah, administration. Administration. He went there and he met up with him. And, my point is that in North Korea, they have their own media, right? That's nobody listen, because it's kind of like isolated. Their information, they're always like exclusive. Like nobody can know what is going on there. Even us right there in South Korea, we don't know what is going on inside, because he managed to stay outside and he managed to lock himself. So what is happening inside? Nobody knows, like nothing. There's no internet, there's no all those kind of things. So that's another level of extremists. But the point is the media and how it portrays about North Korea. You guys, what you know, or what I know from the media, I might think that this is right and this is what is going on, but it's exact opposite. Because people, they have their own agenda to talk about a certain country because of something. Yes. Because of something. So I just wanted to point that out, that, we cannot really, it can be a source of information, or we can use this media as a source of information, or something that we can actually sit down and find our own conclusion to what we listen. But, down deep, we have to come back to Africa, and we have to support our own stories, because honestly, there's a lot of things that happen in Tanzania. It happens in Ethiopia. It happens in South Africa. It happens in so many corners. Different corners of Africa. It's pretty much the same what is happening, because our culture is pretty much the same, the way that we have and the way that we live with one another. So we don't have to find information about Africa to somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? To some other different medias. We have to support our own, and we have to tell our own stories in our own way. And not looking up to, the other medias. Mm.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Like, I think to me, like, you look at the case of North Korea, just a little bit an extension of that. Just before I make my point, is you asked a very simple, what do you think of North Korea? And what we thought about is based on the media, how the media has made us perceive North Korea. Right? I thought about Amen, because like they say, like, oh, he's starving his people to build weapons, and that's a message that I've seen over and over again. But there's another side of North Korea. North Korea has some of the best hackers in the world, and it's so good that they took down an entire company like Sony. Because they were angry at one of the movies that Sony released, and they warned them, and they warned them, and they warned the US, and they warned the company, but nobody could stop. They got it into the Sony servers and took all the information they need, and so we know there's more. And
they're very rich.
There's more to the story.
Like North Korea.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I say North Korea is very rich. Like South Korea, they don't have minerals actually, but North Korea, that country is very rich, and because it never allowed anybody to come in, so they have like so many resources. They have minerals in North Korea, but nobody, because they don't have even technology to use it, and nobody's allowed to go in. So it's just there. It's just there deep
Within
inside
Yeah.
the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's interesting also like how the South Koreans live with the conflict. And
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
is
yeah.
not part of the thing that we know about. I mean, you have to experience
Mhm.
it for you to be able to say, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting." As
Mm.
an outsider,
Yeah.
you would think that I would be worried about every day a nuclear bomb
Mm.
flying over and blasting us to smithereens,
Yeah.
but that's not the case. So, but to
Yeah.
me, it points to the fact that medias have perspective, they have a side,
Mm.
and they are part
Mm.
of an angle.
Mm.
They are partial. So
Mm.
once we have an idea like that, once we see that, then we say, what? How do we augment that? How do we make
Mm.
sure that broader perspective has a platform? A broader
Mm.
set of angles and point of views have platforms. We don't have the money to be able to compete with the likes of the Western powers, Western media, but there's nothing to be at pain about that part. But we have power. We have ability now in the world that we didn't have 10 years ago. And what Mika has started, and what the team here that you see is joining, is this approach, this opportunity that is laid in front of us. Okay, we might not be able to be in the newsroom and be in the ears of the anchors that are stationed all over the place, and to be able to have our voice heard, but we can definitely set the course of their coverage. And then in this case, the example of CNN is an example. With the Twitter campaign, social media campaign, and then with deciphering, Africans deciphering the news coverage of CNN, pointing out all the flaws, all the fraudulence that they used to make the so-called evidence. By pointing that out, CNN had to backtrack and cover its own rear. Like, lawyers, when those two, like the Ethiopians would know this, but when those two, with the presenter and then that expert, so-called expert, came in to debunk its own report, that was instigated by lawyers, by the Department of Counsel, within the organization of the corporate organization of CNN, that says, hey, this is potential liability, and we could get sued for billions of dollars, and we don't have the money to do it, to pay back. And then in an American case, when you have a civil case, when you bring civil case, you don't have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. All you have to prove is 50 plus 1% chance of truth. So CNN will be in trouble, because when you are going to civil trials like that, you're not having to prove conclusively you're not guilty. The person who's suing you, all you have to prove is sufficient amount of proof that what you've done has done material damage to my company, and then you've done it in a with falsified documents. And to me, that's an example of new media influencing the traditional media. Even though the traditional media might not give you full voice, but they will be paying, like earlier Ezra was pointing out, this traditional media, they listen to and pay attention to what is going on social media, on new media. So by setting trends, by saying that we Africans are looking for African unity, we're looking for love, we're looking for our stories to be told as is, without being tainted and then subjected to ridicule and humiliation. So when we come up and say that, set the tone like that, using the platform that are available to us, you have to have confidence it will have a difference. That's why you need to support, Swahili Nation here. You need to share Swahili Nation to broader set of communities, because that's our goal. Our vision here is to set an agenda that is African, by Africans, and for Africans.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I need to write that down, Ezra. That's really smart. Set an agenda for African, by an African, and
set an agenda by Africans
Uh-huh.
about
For
Africans and for Africans.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm editing it a little bit.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing, right?
This final say, guys? Is the final? Is the closing statement?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just want to add one thing. Sorry for the connection. I think my connection is. I think from 4G. I think I went to 2G. So I think this is what happened. That's how bad it is.
You're good.
Anyways,
you're good.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So what I was gonna say is, you know, when we talk about this the mainstream medias, right, like the CNN and all those kind of stuff, right? So those are like this is the point I want to make. Those are the medias that we look for information or something like that, right? So, but we should be really aware of the medias of the when we talk about like entertainment, right? Like you don't watch like CNN like eating popcorn or something like that, right? So you don't watch CNN relaxed, chilling with a glass of wine and stuff like that. You don't do that with the CNN, right? What you do is relaxed, all your muscles are relaxed and stuff like that. As an entertainment, for fun, you watch content that is calculated content that comes from the entertainment industry. So you more than the CNN, of course, that has their own agenda and or whatever, but you should also be really be very careful about the content that is coming from the what you call it, the entertainment industry, like the Hollywood, for example. Take Hollywood. So I think that's a very important point that we should really need to address. For example, take Hollywood.
I think you actually mentioned a very important part of we didn't that much discuss about the entertainment part. Even we can have it like entertainment for media for Africa again, and can discuss about it, because we mostly focused on the media part and communication. So that's because that is a huge distraction for Africa. This is how I see it. For your use, actually not only for Africa, actually for me, for most people, for human beings, there is a lots of distraction that this kind of the entertainment part seems fun, seems interesting, and because they are working with they calculate very well the cartoon movie they send for kids, or the big movies that they think that they say, oh, it's above this age. Everything is crafted for the distraction of human beings. That's how I see it. No, most of it. I'm not saying all of it. Most of the things that you see, and it's very sad that nobody is standing and saying anything. When we see our kids acting up, or we see the youth coming out and acting certain things, doing certain things, and say, what happened, what's wrong? But we give all the medias in their hand, and we are working out, going outside, working, getting money, and giving them a killing machine for their life, for their brain in their hand, that in their home. So that's one thing that I think we can discuss about it more in depth. But let me close up with the media that I was planning to close up with. Do you remember the about Yakati 12? You make a reaction to it. There was somebody, an African friends who made the video about how almost 20% of Addis Ababa people were dead because to sustain their freedom. And she was talking about I love the way she said it. Okay, what was the cost of freedom? When we talk about like Ethiopia was free, what was the cost? And she laid out the story, what happened, and it was so interesting. Even though I know my story, even though I know I read some books, but when you hear it from another sister, from African sister, from her perspective, and talking about it, and her giving attention and explaining things, makes it a big weight. And because she was in your platform, I saw that in your platform first when you do a reaction to it. So when I see it, that one, I say, oh, that is very good. This is what we're supposed to do. Like bringing I wanna hear about apartheid in your platform again. So another brother talking about he's another brother from South Africa, or another story in Rwanda. I need our brothers and sisters talking about it, explain it, and sharing that for different part of the continent. And that makes it value, that makes it you know my pain. When you talk now, you know my pain. Now I know you care for me, so I can come and connect with you and work with you. It makes it easier, and also it makes it life and show the true part of it, not the narrative that somebody else draw for us, but the reality that is there in Africa. So that's one of the things that I think we should do in influencing the media by our own people, by our own brothers and sisters. Thank
Telling
you.
our good stories.
Mm-hmm. And also good, yes, and
Thank
there
you.
is a lot of great stories.
That's what Swahili Nation does.
Yes.
Okay. From my side, in closing, as we round up, I think what our sister just said is important. Maybe going forward, Mika, I guess maybe you'll take note of it as well. Where, like, sometimes we can even share about different countries, different stories, day-to-day life, things like that, of that nature, where maybe other people will want to know about South Africa, um, sometimes Ethiopia or America, living in the diaspora, how's life that side. We can also ask Professor Ezra to tell us, for people who aspire to go study, to go work, such
Exactly.
information. It's nice if an African is telling us, who's already there, who has lived there, who knows the corners, what not to do, things like that, where we can have people that are based there, not just people who say, I'm visiting America,
Yeah.
then posting a video only just telling us a bit about it, but someone who lives there who can just say, brothers and sisters, if you want to come this side, you act like this, you behave like this, things like that, things that our mind should be ready for going there. Even yourself, Mika, you can share, like, for somebody who went to the east, you went to the eastern part of the world, the Asia there, you can tell us something about Asia. Our brother and our Professor Ezra that side, he can tell us what's happening in the US, in the West, what's happening in the West. Even our sister as well, they can share things that those who are in the continent now can know as well, what not to even worry about, why should we bother even going there, certain things to avoid if we want to go there, or things that we also are doing here now in the continent that others are missing out, that maybe they can invest in and do as well. So yeah, I believe that it's a great platform. We need to share that and tell our stories, African stories by Africans, and to the world.
Africans about Africans.
By African, yeah, by
For
Africans.
Africans. I like that one.
Nice one, bro.
Serenading by Africans, about Africans, for the Africans.
Africans, yeah, So yeah, and
One
to that,
Africa.
one Africa.
One Africa.
One Africa.
I'm sorry, Ezra.
And that's it in
Ezra,
my
I
closing
think
today.
I think now there's a need. I was doing content, about South Africa, back in the days. But I think now it's a time to really do it, because I have Ezra here, representative, and he will help me, with that. If there's a videos that it's interesting and you'd like us to do reaction on, You know my number, right? So
Mm.
I think, yeah, I need to get there for my brother Ezra there, and for other Africans out there.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I love the things that you share, and I love the things that I mean,
Mm.
those are the things that, and then more than you share is your reaction. The
Mm.
priceless part is the
Mm.
reaction, how you
Mm.
react.
Mm.
So, I mean, I think like it's hard to react when you have so much things going on in your head. Sometimes, you
Yeah.
know, but
Mm.
when you get the moments where you have clear mind and they
Mm.
come it's a mind blowing reaction. It's like
Mm.
I was like I kind of liked Teddy Afro. Like
Mm.
kind of like I'm not like a crazy fan of Teddy Afro like most Ethiopians are,
Yeah.
but you turned me into
Mm.
a crazy fan. It was me. I'm like, how come I didn't see this? How come I didn't see this part of it?
You
So
were
even
sleeping
though
on it.
like contextually, I'm much more closer to it. But sometimes somebody who's an outsider reacting from a completely different perspective, that is mind blowing by itself, and
Yeah.
that allows us. So I was crazy about that video about Cote d'Ivoire, the dance that
Yeah.
and I don't know how many people have seen it, but like it's mind blowing that you have something like that in Africa. Like you have people
Yeah, exactly.
with skills and talents, experiences that are like dimensionally not related to the rest of the world. So uniquely African. And it is not a rejection of anything in the world. It's not rejecting, and so the world is not being rejected by African stories. The world is being played on by African stories. And that's to me, that's the thing. Like the media has to, like, anyways. So I think this is supposed to be wrapping up, and I'm adding stuff. Sorry.
Appreciate. Gentlemen and lady and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for today, man. Again, another beautiful day. You know, all the time we finish this conversation, I like, man, I want to stay here longer. Like I really, like honestly, I want to stay here to continue to talk about these things. That's a good feeling because we can leave it here and catch up, another day as well. And you guys and my sister right there.
It looks like you forgot you're sick.
You forgot that you were sick.
Yeah. That's true. I forgot that I'm sick. I've been this is the third day, I've been sick, but every time that we are coming here and we are sharing this, I think I love Africa so much that I forget my sickness. Yeah. How good is that? I even forget about it, and in the process, like, God is healing me, you know what I'm saying? Because there's so much hope for Africa right here. And so I love you so much, you guys, and for another day, you guys, feel free to to share, if there's any idea in your thought that you want us to cover, and if you prepared something that you would like, to share about, it's amazing.
Can I suggest
you
something?
guys, you always have that chance as well.
Can I suggest something? We need to slightly, and I'm not a supporter of sensationalization, but some use of sensationalization might be of use. So like a little bit of exaggeration, but not too much. Not to a level where we question ourselves and our morality, but a degree of interest and excitement. And part of it is how do we do it? We generate anger and frustrations and excitement and hope and love. Those are the terminologies comes to mind when it comes to sensationalization. So, like, how do we get tractions in African media? And I think that could be a topic that we could cover. How do we get Swahili Nation to be more like, more than a talking place, not more than just an exercise of the mind, but also the exercise of the heart. How do we get to the heart? And I think that's something that we could cover in the coming days, if that's something that you like.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate, guys. I appreciate, and this is amazing. It has to be different, and we are going some places. So finger crossed to that. And I know God is with us.
Yes.
and we're gonna get there. You know,
We got it.
one day we'll celebrate here. We'll pop up champagne and be like, you know what?
Amen.
What Africa, yo, we're here. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
What
Africa?
we are not
We're going
going
to celebrate.
anywhere until we achieve
Voila.
one Africa.
Right, Africa.
We not, you ain't going anywhere.
And going
I
nowhere.
appreciate guys.
But next
Yeah.
time you're gonna bring out your music too, man. We want to hear your melody too. And if you have to sing to us
Oh,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
your point across, man, we are ready for that.
And no worries, guys. If you want to hear my music, stay connected with Mika Chavala YouTube. I'm actually gonna upload a short clip that I filmed today, me singing outside with the sound of breeze, you know, worshiping
Nice.
the Almighty God. I'll release it there on
Yes,
Mika
perfect.
Chavala, so you can check that out maybe later on. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you everyone.
Good night, Ezra SA,
Good night.
and good afternoon, Professor Ezra.
Thank you.
Right, yes. Bye.
They're right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So that's pretty much the end of our conversation, but I'm not gonna leave you like this, guys. All right. The closing thought for me, and I'll share with you guys a closing thought, but also after that, I'll be sharing with you guys something. All right. I think I've already said this. So if you're joining right now, I'll just remind you that, guys, the media represent people of a particular area. It represent culture. It represent government. It represent pretty much people of that particular area. So if you are trying to find, if you're seeing there's a little bit of a gap, or there's a little bit of a weakness in our African medias, that's a sign that God is telling you that you have to do something about it. Because God has given you eyes to see, senses to sense whatever that is going on. And if there's something that is not pleasing you, you feel like, you know what? I don't like what CNN are doing. I don't like what BBC are doing. I don't like what even African media, my own television, is doing. It might be a sign that God is showing you, go and do something. I'm saying this because that's the reason why I started Swahili Nation. I saw a lot of negativity about Africa. When you type the word Africa on Google, you will see what comes, what comes. You see, just go and type right now. You see what comes. You see a lot of animals. You see a lot of poverty articles. That's what you will see. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the way people, they looked at me. I didn't like the way people, they talked about me. I didn't like the way people, they assumed about me. I didn't like even the children, how they spoke about me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to create something that it will talk about Africa in a different perspective. That's how, that was the motivation of me starting Swahili Nation. And thank God, because we are here now and we keep moving forward, and we're going to continue to talk about Africa, the Africa we know, the Africa we lived in, the Africa we are living in, the Africa we believe in. And the best thing you can do is to be part of the process. The best thing you can do is to support our own thing. Support your African brothers, support your African sisters. We have a lot of Africans out there who are actually speaking positive about Africa. Go and support their channel. Go and spread some word. Go and share. Go and do something about it. Because this is how we create media, man. The vision that I have for Swahili Nation right here is not here where it is. It's not this YouTube channel that we have right here. No, it's a media. It's African media. Ezra, he said it very well. Set an agenda by Africans, about Africans, for the Africans. And for the world as well. They have to know it. This is for us. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to add this in the about Ezra, by the way. I'm going to add it there. So what we are doing right now, Swahili Nation, it cannot build by itself. You guys, like, it's like a house and everybody is holding one block and giving. Somebody's holding a block, somebody's bringing water, somebody's bringing some sand, somebody's bringing some cement. That's what you guys are doing to build this platform to become something that later on, guys, this is where I see later on those medias, those big media, CNN, those big media like BBC, they will be looking for Swahili Nation to find contents about Africa. It will be a source of that. You know what I'm saying? So this is not just about Mika thing, but this is an African thing. And we're gonna get there and we're gonna reach there. It doesn't matter how long it will take. We're gonna build that and we're gonna have it and we're gonna have our voices. I want to hear some farmers coming here and share their idea. So you guys, if you are scared, you feel like, oh, I think they have already decided panel to share. You guys are welcome to come and to share. Are welcome to come and to join in the movement. Are welcome to come and say, share ideas, share topics, share whatever you have, and share with your friends. Because we can keep mourning and we can keep complaining that, you know what, we don't have African media, we don't have look at CNN, look at BBC. Do you know who made the way it is right now? All those medias? The people. I'm telling you, if people are not watching CNN, it's not gonna be the way it is. But people who are watching every day, tuning in every single day, they made that media the best in the world. They made it popular like that. You have that an opportunity to do that to a lot of African medias that we have. Be part of it. Support. When we support our own, that's when we start changing these perspectives. They have numbers of people who are watching from Africa. CNN, they do have it. BBC, they do have it. You'll be surprised how many millions of people they're watching, and you'll be surprised how much do we support our own African medias. How much do you support? Can you really see and watch your media and turn on whatever and turn off other medias that are out there? All right, you have your own preference. You can watch all the medias you want. It's fine. I watch them. I do. But every time I'm sit down and I watch, there are things I'm learning. There are things I'm like, all right, we got to talk about that, to find content to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's support. Let's do it. And I'm telling you, the next thing you'll find out that, oh my goodness, this platform is actually growing. This platform is actually, big, and it starts shaking up the world, shaking up Africa. I have a lot of good plans, guys, and a lot of things. They'll be coming, very soon. So hopefully, you guys will be a part of this journey as well, because, this is Africa thing. So finally, guys, I'll share with you. There's this one spoken word that I wrote couple. I know I didn't wrote. Somebody else wrote. I remember her name is something Mushi. Yeah, something Mushi. Let me see here. This Mushi, her name is Sandra Mushi. I think she's Tanzanian writer, and she wrote something about Dear Western Media, and it was after the death of the previous president of Tanzania, John Pombe Magufuli. After he died, you saw a lot of media, CNN, BBC, all these big medias, they wrote a title saying that, oh, this president has died because of Corona. The president who was skeptical about Corona, he died. But we know the story. In all of his speeches and all of the things that he always talked about, because he spoke in Swahili, right? And everything that he spoke about, we know what he was saying, what he was talking about. He didn't deny that Corona is not there. But he had a different approach to approach it because of different evidence that he found himself. And I remember at that time, like, he got really, really, really famous. Like, everybody knew that, wow, there's something, because when the vaccine came, he tried to test on some animals and some trees and some fruit trees, and they found them with COVID-19. And it was like, how can you find a tree with VID-19? How can you find a goat with VID-19? And then you want us to take this to use it, you know what I'm saying? So he did that, and the world didn't really like it about it. So even when he passed away, the news, it was about that. It was literally like erasing him out of the picture by framing that, oh, this guy, he has been denied about COVID. This was the title. The president who was skeptical and denied about VID-19, he died with the heart attacks, you know what I'm saying, with the heart disease. So what do you think? Like, when you see that title, what comes to your mind? That, oh, he died because of it, because that's what is going on right now. So who get the credits at the end of the day? It's not him. Like, everything that he stood for, everything he mentioned, everything he said is just going to be erased like that. Nobody will care about it because he was skeptical and then he died. You see how they're taking your mindset and bringing you to somewhere to think about something else? So this Sandra Mushi, she wrote really long article called Dear Western Media. I saw it, and you know what I did? I wrote a spoken word about it. That's what I will share with you guys as I'm finishing right now. This is a spoken word. I had to record it and to release. And I actually shared, I commented this in the CNN news, in the news that they spoke about. I commented everywhere. I even commented in Daily Show by Trevor Noah, because he as well, he made some jokes that they were not really, they were not really profound. As an African brother, I was disappointed. I share this again there. So I'm gonna share with you guys, and you can have some time to listen to this. And that will be it. So let me just say this as I'm leaving right now, guys. I love you and I love Africa. I hope you do too. Always don't forget to love one another and spread peace wherever you are. And spread that unity wherever you are. All right, guys, I'll be getting out of here and I'll leave you guys with this video. I hope it's gonna play. Let's go. It's taking some time.
Better to die as a hero than to live as cowards. This is for you, Mr. President. Better to die as a hero than to live as cowards. This is for you, Mr. President. He refused to bow down to them. He refused to accept their ideology. He refused to travel abroad, but rather to save Tanzanians. He loved Tanzania. He loved Africa. He kept God first in everything. He never missed a worship service. He would use his own salary to save his people. He was a godly man. Before he died, he prayed for all the doctors in the room. He saw it coming, but that didn't stop him. He kept going and doing what is right in the eyes of God. He wasn't a perfect man, but Tanzania is a better place right now than ever before. He walked the talk, he fought the good fight, he finished the race, he kept the faith. Dear Western media, I tend to oversleep on Saturdays as my weeks are normally very, very long. So I woke up to my young cousin and Demando sitting in front of the telly watching the sending off of our dear president. I watched as his motorcade rode down the roads of Dar es Salaam, wailing women and men tore off their kangas and t-shirts and laid them on the roads with the motorcades riding on them. People stood along the roads holding up banners that expressed what Magufuli was to them, and they were all full of love and admiration. Wananchi are wailing with the heaviest heart. This man was loved. Western media. Did he make mistakes? Oh yes, he did, plenty. He was not an angel after all. Not too, he was very flawed. But he stood for the people of Tanzania from the get-go, for the common Wananchi, the one who hardly ever has a voice. In fact, he used to say over and over again that he is the president of the poor. When Magufuli did not lock down the country, he was thinking of his people, the common Wananchi. Magufuli did not want us to come to you with kept hands as it is always expected by you. He wanted his people to stand on their feet with pride. He wanted his people to stop being neo-colonized. Not shutting down the economy of Tanzania drove the country to become a leading economy. We know the Western world did not like him. Of course, how could you have felt anything good for one who was always against you? One who wanted to give Africa back her voice and strength? Magufuli worked hard at stopping the agenda of colonial exploitation of Tanzanians' wealth. He worked hard to build infrastructure that could be used by Tanzania so we can start successfully among ourselves of reliable road, utilizing the natural resources that Tanzania has. Magufuli was able to develop Tanzania from a third world country into a middle-class economy within just a short period of time. If I was your shoes, I most probably would have hated him too. Understand, as the Western world cannot be without exploiting Africa. Let me tell you more. Magufuli was God-fearing. He was diligent. He was morally courageous. He had progressive vision. He has principle-centered vision. Magufuli demonstrated a selfless and people-driven leadership that continues to inspire the Mwananchi. Magufuli was one of the few leaders that believed in his continent abilities. He despised and acted against corruption. He chose to be a true African statesman. Magufuli loved his country with a passion. Magufuli loved his continent. He was so proud of his continent that he was ready to die for it. Not everybody liked him, and he was not without his critics. This is simply the way of the world, and not everything he did was agreeable. Again, it is the way of the world. Like the opposition parties, which naturally would, as it is the job for an opposer in believing that they can do better. Is that not their job? Just like a mistress will oppose the wife. It comes with a job description. I agree that in some instances, he could have done better, but the right that he did has been strongly felt. I am now watching as Mwananchi are bidding farewell to a fallen giant, and Tanzania is wailing. Western media. The National Stadium is filled to the brim, as it was earlier this morning at the St. Peter's Church, where a mass had been held for him. Tanzania is crying because we know what we have. Having said this, I have a question for you, Western media. With your world being so full of faults and ugliness, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? I humbly ask that you use that energy you have on Africa on your plans. Tanzanians, let us be like Magufuli. Let us all stand for truth, moral courageous, and emotional fortitude. For this is the best way to stand up to bullies. As the dear auntie says, let us continue loving Africa and standing for Africa. Lala Salama, Baba Magufuli. Lala Salama, a great son of the soul. We thank you for your leadership. We celebrate you, Baba. Tanzanians, God heard our prayers, and He will not be silent. He will not be silent. He has been there before Magufuli. He has been there during Magufuli, and He is going to continue to be there even right now. Mark my words.
Lakini ninajua Watanzania wananipenda pamoja na ninyi. Ninajua ninayoyafanya ni kwa maslahi mapana ya Watanzania, hasa Watanzania maskini. Kwa hiyo ndugu zangu, tuendelee kuchapa kazi, tuendelee kumtanguliza Mungu mbele, kila mmoja kwa imani yake, lakini tujenge Tanzania yetu. Mimi ni mtumishi wenu, na nataka niwaambie ndugu zangu, siku moja mtanikumbuka. Na mimi ninajua mtanikumbuka kwa mazuri, si kwa mabaya, kwa sababu nimesacrifice maisha yangu kwa ajili ya Watanzania maskini. Kwa hiyo tusimame pamoja, tusibaguane kwa vyama, tusibaguane kwa ajili ya dini zetu, tusibaguane hata kwa makabila yetu. Sisi tuijenge Tanzania.